must have, because we had it on the news. But for those of us who may not, so WAEC explained that the delay which led to students writing that particular paper late into the night on Wednesday was part of efforts. Okay. Even to say it is somehow, but I have to. He says it was part of efforts to prevent leakage of question papers and protect the integrity of the examination. Hold on. Let me take it again for those that do not understand. So WAEC says the reason why your child had to take the exam late into that time in the night was because it was all part of their effort to prevent leakage of question papers and protect the integrity of the exams. From the top of this, I would say, how backward are we if we're to look at it from face value? If you want to even probe deeper into this, you would even ask the question of, so among all the papers, the only paper that was important for WAEC that need to be done well was English language. Other papers, you're not applying this method to avoid leakage and to protect integrity. Are you applying this same method for all other papers? So it was just for English language that we felt, this is English. English. We have to protect the integrity here. We have to make sure papers don't leak. This is English. Was that what they were thinking? Because I'm trying to understand. It's similar to what happened with JAM. And then you remember the first response that came from JAM was the Minister for Education, yes? That first came with the first excuse that I did not understand what anybody was thinking to suggest that excuse. And it was that the failure was not because of any issues. It was just because they handled malpractice and people could no longer cheat. That was why it was what it was. Only for the JAM boss to now come out and say, oh, see the problem. Now, this one has happened. WAEC have come out quickly. And they are telling us that they did, so it was on purpose. That's what they are saying. That they kept children into the night in this country where a lot of things are concerned. A lot of things. One of them is security. But let's leave that. They kept children and they think the best method to ensure credibility and to avoid leakage of papers, the best method they could think of, occupying that position, getting paid salaries monthly with what's supposed to be some of the best brains, the best method they could come up with to tackle the problem of exam paper leakage and to secure credibility, the best answer to it for them was to bring the papers late at night and keep children in school till that odd hour because they are writing WAEC exam. I still cannot understand who thought of the idea. If it was an idea that was thought about, who sat down with who? And then they say, if we're going to solve this is what we need to do. How on earth does this make sense? Somebody would have to explain. And the spokesperson of JAM came out, Mr. Adesina, and said, WAEC successfully achieved its objective. I need us to understand this, so that we realize, because in the country, when people say people are the problem, some people think you're just saying what you're saying. The spokesperson of WAEC then says they achieved their objective. Oh, really? You did? Please, how? So you do not think that what has happened has smeared the credibility and image of WAEC? You don't think so? You think that what we saw has secured your credibility or cemented your credibility even more? Before I go into the details, let me also say this. In the course of the conversation, I might have to play you a voice note. I spoke to a teacher, a principal. I was trying to understand what is the regular standard practice for exams like this. How have they usually conducted the exams? Because I'm wondering why it is now that WAEC felt this is the method to tackle exam leakage. So all the other exams that they did not keep people till ninth, leakages happened now in all of them. So we should question those exams. Or the other papers that they're going to write after now, the other papers they will write, or the papers that they have been writing before this one that they kept people till others at night. Those ones, WAEC don't need to protect their credibility. WAEC did not bother about the papers leaking. Who sat down and thought of this excuse? Meanwhile, there are parents, just like we had for JAM, who are already saying that they are going to sue WAEC. Oh yes, there's several of them. If you go research online, you see several parents coming together. And there are right groups that are willing to work with them now. She say, yes, you can, and we should sue WAEC. So it brings me to the question whether you are going to be among one of those parents that want to sue WAEC. In fact, what do you make of how can we even be certain that the children wrote well? Because, well, like I said, after the commercial, we'll hear that via voice note, and then there's a few things we'll talk about before we get to hear your thoughts. Good morning.
The show continues after this break on Nigeria Info.
right, good morning. The conversation continues here on the Morning Crossfire Friday edition, 30th day of May as well. My name is Ifeyemi Andrew. So, I was telling you about 2 days ago, and it's been everywhere. Students who wrote exams into very odd hours at night, writing exams, not just even writing it at odd hours, but then doing so in the most uncomfortable environment you can think of. And for whatever reason, WAEC is going to mark those scripts and expect those students to perform well. Oh, yes. In fact, most of the WAEC people, they cannot go for a job interview in that condition at that time. They cannot. They will not. So to think that they will then put students in that situation and expect the best out of them. In some places, people are using torchlights. I was in a school that's close to where I live. I saw at night, dark, and I'm like, what are they doing? How are they writing this exam? You see parents worried and the children, some of them crying and so on and so forth. And WAEC would say, we protected our credibility, and we achieved our aim. Papers did not leak. Oh my goodness. So the other papers that you write for other days that would not be done at night can leak. It does not matter. I can't say too much. You guys would say the rest. Well, before we get on, let's listen to this from... I had a conversation with a principal, and he shared a few things with me. That is the problem, because I wanted to understand what's the usual practice. How do they usually, what's the practice, the standard that WAEC apply when they do their exams? And he had a few things to say about it. So let's just listen to some of the things he said.
To delay
before we go on
with time, I would say most times WAEC will bring out a timetable and say they are going to write a particular subject by 9 o'clock, and you will see that there's no exam they have started exactly that same time. The invigilators or the supervisors, when they come from the custodian, they might come like an hour or 2 hours after the time. So when they come, you ask them what is the problem. They say the paper did not arrive to the custodian on time, or the custodian where they pick the papers delayed them, and so many other factors. And when they come, it affects the children, because the children at a point will get tired and start lashing about. And when they start, the invigilators are in a haste to go back to pick second paper, because sometimes they write two papers. They don't give it to them at the same time. They go for one and come back for the afternoon on. So they will start hurrying the student, please be fast. If I come late now, the custodian will say, I did like this. So they will not give the children the exact time of the exam. Let's say it is mathematics. They want to write mathematics in 2 hours, 30 minutes. They will want to stop the children before 2 hours, telling them that the time has come, because they came late and they want to meet up to go for the second paper. And you discover that sometimes, instead of them to go and collect the second paper by themselves, they want to send the school at the cost of the school. Is their right to go. So I suggest also that even the custodian, the WAEC custodians who are giving them the papers, should give them both the morning and afternoon on at the same time, instead of wasting transportation and putting school at extra cost. So these are the things that are not good. It's affecting the school, it's affecting the children, and sometimes the afternoon on is the worst. You see the children write exam in the night. Let's say exam supposed to start by 2 p.m. and you see the question coming by 4 or 5. It will require torchlight and everything. The children will be under pressure to finish so that they will go home. And sometimes they will be hungry throughout that day. So it affects them in everything.
All right, so that's a principal there I spoke with, and he was just trying to give an idea. So it's not like I was saying, it's not the first time that people are writing exams into the night, but this is the first time it happened this way. And I was trying to give you an example with my experience, which means that if I wrote WAEC exams in the early 2000s, yeah, I wrote WAEC exams, and what we saw and the modus operandi at that time is what is still obtainable now. The big question is, how much have we grown? We have people that are supposed to be thinking. We have people who are supposed to be evolving the process and making things better, building a better system. But it clearly looks like the same way when we wrote WAEC, the kind of environment we were, because exactly what he's narrating now was what I also experienced when I wrote WAEC years ago. And as it stands, people are still facing the same thing now. So where is the growth? As you would expect that the people, whoever they are, the helms of affairs, are looking at are you telling me that the exams you write abroad, in the schools abroad, because they want to protect integrity, they will now give you exam to write at night or delay paper? So that's the best strategy WAEC or any other exam body can come up with to prevent paper leakage. The best strategy is to give out the papers late. And guess what? It's the same thing we do for elections. It's almost similar now. Similar things we do for elections. Similar thing. Let's go to the phone lines first. We'll come back to this because 0817-923-0007. 0817-923-0007. You can also call 0817-923-0002. Many of you that wrote exams, 20-something years ago, 30 years ago, please, what did this principal say that's new? Because clearly, if you go to their statement, I'm trying not to say too much, but it's difficult, I must tell you, very difficult not to. This is what WAEC said. I will tell you part of it. According to their spokesperson, that WAEC successfully achieved its objective, but faced logistical challenges and security concerns. You were worried that you faced security concerns. You did not consider this security concern when you kept kids in schools for up to 8-9 p.m. Some of them don't even stay in those places. They had to come there because of the exams. Do you understand? Maybe I'm the one who is making too much out of this. But I don't see how. It says WAEC said it is working with security agencies to prevent a future occurrence of this nature. Okay, you want to prevent a future occurrence. I thought you said it was deliberate now so that you can maintain credibility and avoid leakage of papers. So why are you trying to avoid a recurrence? Or like I said before, the other papers that you wrote where the papers, people didn't have to stay till this time. Those papers, you did not want to maintain credibility, or you didn't want to, you wanted papers to leak? Aren't there better ways, more strategic ways to do this as against the deliberate attempt by WAEC, according to what the reports from this principal and the experiences we've had while we also wrote the exams? It's almost like they deliberately delay the timing that these papers come, not considering the ripple effect it would have on people who want to sit for the exams. Ken from Obimini, good morning.
Good morning, Shemi Andrew.
All right, good morning, Ken.
I want to ask, do we have Minister of Education in this country? When and how far has he called for a meeting with this school or educational organization, especially the JAMB and the WAEC board? How far and how long have we heard about them organizing some meetings, submit, in order to enlighten the masses and whoever that will write any exam in future? Mr. Chiamandi, I want to let you know that this is the result of using an engineer to supersede a position of an educationist. This is the fault of a doctor to become a lawyer. Because if you ask me, the office of the Minister of Education in this country is responsible of whatever thing that is happening in our education system in this country. Otherwise, imagine, in fact, you have seen it all. And I want to let you know that this is the strategy that they are using, leaking the paper they are claiming not to be leaked. Because if something wrong is being happened during the daytime, how much more the night? I don't know if you're understanding me. So they should sit up. And if not for the sake of the country, I think this is what I would consider as a war system in the country.
All right, Augustus from Bori, good morning.
Yes, thank you, Andrew. I wrote WAEC in 1978. In 1978, I was a candidate. I wrote WAEC 78. I'm a retired principal. WAEC know that their papers are on the net. Students don't read again. You don't need to buy phone and browse it. WAEC, they know. So they are not credible. They already know that their paper, the answers to all their questions are on the net. So what are they protecting? If there's any organization in this country that is dubious, it is WAEC, followed by JAMB. WAEC, they know that even the paper for today is already on net. They know it and they cannot stop it. So but what they are doing is that because this country is a country where people who are politicians who are leading us, they are all concerned about the crude oil in the Niger Delta, how to sell and loot it. If not by now, WAEC, officials of WAEC should be in prison. It's a pity. My good friend, you are trying. I've been listening to you. WAEC, they should re-examine themselves. Every person who will come to EPP should come with clean hands. WAEC is a dirty organization. They have been selling their papers to wider people to put it on net. And now they come and punish innocent children. And one of the problems that will go to court very soon.
All right, Augustus, thank you. So the question is, why, if your papers, if the idea of delaying this is to solve, I don't know how to put this, why not look at internally where your problem is coming from? Instead of deciding to say, because listen to the principal, say they will come with one paper first. They have two papers for the deal. Two papers are ready, but they will give one first. Tell you to go. Then you will now come back to collect the second one. So their own is, we are trying to avoid malpractice. So you are saying that in the how many years that you have been putting together exams for students, you have not been able to look at the problems you have and then come up with a smart solution. So how come we're still there? For what the first caller says, the Minister for Education, Olatunji Alausa, is the Minister for Education. He's a Nigerian medical doctor specializing in nephrology, but right now is the Minister of Education. He was the former Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, serving in both offices under the same administration. So, all right, I just had to put that out there because of the position of the first caller. Mufasa from NTA Road, good morning. Let's go to Dakuku in Eche. Good morning, Dakuku. All right, we lost both those calls. All right, the numbers are still very open, 0817-923-0007, 0817-923-0002. This one says, back then when we wrote WAEC in the 9th, papers like English, mathematics, physics, chemistry, geography, and biology, but the response of the WAEC spokesperson is annoying. I was also putting into the response we got when Jam On happened now. We all heard the response. Eric from Gokana, good morning.
Okay, if you hear me, good morning. You have done justice to everything. You have actually analyzed the issues surrounding this issue of WAEC, writing in darkness, and so on and so forth. You see, to me, WAEC have just failed. And the issue why, and one of the reasons why WAEC is behaving like this is because in this nation, they have also looked down on NECO. Everybody is conversing against NECO. NECO is not accepted in this place, it's not accepted outside Nigeria, it's not accepted here and there. The children now look at WAEC as the only source of how they are going to write external examination from their O level. You see, so it is bad. So people the Nigerian government should look at it in another way to make sure that they will strengthen the use of NECO in the country, so that WAEC will now know that there are other bodies who are competing with them. You see, and I actually attended the briefing of WAEC, and they told us that there's not going to be mark attendance, and even the card for the children were not brought on time. As I speak to you today, in our school where I'm a teacher, they did not use the machine. The machine they promised that they are going to bring. In short, during the briefing, there was somebody who asked a question about the issue why their paper is leaking all over the internet. And WAEC was not able to defend how their paper is leaking all over the internet. As I speak to you, people are browsing and they are solving WAEC on the internet. And tell me what they wanted to defend. Only a single paper, English language. And they wrote this paper. Even in my school, they submitted it by 12 o'clock. 12 in the morning. 11 in the night. Tell me, remote areas, people were using candles, were using torchlight in writing. Yes. What is the credibility? And this is the same people who will mark this paper. And we now score these children. And we still come up and say social percentage. Score below this. They score below this, that. What are we doing? I think people should begin to rise up and question the credibility of this examination body. And they should strengthen NECO so that we can solve this problem once and for all.
All right,
and
Eric.
We have to be very careful in handling people's lives, because a lot of children were in danger and a lot of accidents and unsafe attitude. What about the supervisor's life that are going to these remote areas? Have they considered that? And they will still pay them peanuts. And they will not pay anything. And they will not take responsibility in any way. So please, let the Nigerian nation rise up against this body so that our children will not be exposed to this kind of insecurity again.
All right.
Thank you.
Eric, thank you. Makes people then question. You'd have to question the IQ level or intelligence level of the people who were appointed in all of these positions, because the things you bring up as solution, people that wrote the exams, I said it before, years ago, it's just same problems now. So what exactly has changed? And there were talks of them wanting to go computer-based. The computer-based that have not been able to get right with NECO, with JAM since 2014, 15, when we went full-blown computer-based test, we've not been able to get it right. Or the computer-based that we want to put in our elections, that we've not been able to even get ordinary, what's the card, BVAS. The problem is not the technology. I think we should understand, though. The problem is not the technology. How did WAEC, from what you guys have been saying, how did the WAEC exam papers leak online? The technology did not put it online by itself. So when people say that the people are the problem of a nation, you'd understand. Tempo from Eche, good morning.
Good morning, the very distinguished Femi Andrew. I celebrate you this morning.
Go on, Tempo.
Have a great weekend, brother. Distinguished Femi Andrew, you remember last 2 weeks we were talking about the issue of JAM and the abracadabra and the emotional blackmail. Their registrar came up crying, appealing for an pardon. I told you that we should expect a hot one from WAEC, if you can remember, that WAEC will be coming up with their own, and there is now. And I always ask this question, based on their reasons, who is in custodian of these question papers? Because we know the khaki bag, they always come with these question papers, locked with a very big padlock. Sometimes the person that is, carrying the bag is not the one that is holding the key. So how come these questions are leaking from their own officials and nobody is asking questions within the confines of WAEC offices? Can't they ask questions? Why is this a question
right, Temple.
Because this has continued because nobody is being sacked.
We have to move on quickly. Magnus from our 3. Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew.
All right, Magnus.
The deplorable state of our education in the country call for serious concern from the relevant stakeholders in our education sector. It seems that politics has overtaken the whole process and governance is relegated to the background, which is not good for ordinary Nigerians. Andrew, if I should tell you how these white question papers are being conveyed to their various venues, you'll be surprised. In fact, I used to see one of them carrying this paper inside sack bag every blessed day during this period. And it is not good. I was reading an article yesterday, and a taxi driver narrated of how he carried this, this white question paper in his taxi, and he was carrying passengers with this. So the system is just bad. And I want a situation where you go out.
Yes, Magnus.
You go out and you see different things. In government secondary school room, parents were busy looking for their children in the school. Already past 9, and students were scampering. Parents were looking for their children in school, and some were just roaming around in the night, all because they were writing work.
Magnus.
These things are as a result of system that is not working well.
Thank you, Magnus. Unfortunately, JJ from Rumigbo, we might not be able to attend to your call because we're already out of time. The principal I spoke with also highlighted some things that should be solution to this problem. If we can get a part of it.
WAEC should be organize themselves. They should be organized themselves, that all the papers that are required to be used throughout the exam period should be at the custodian before time. And they should be arranged. Not in that morning they start running up and down, being arranged, and some of the custodians, WAEC custodians, according to the invigilators, they are saucy, they insult them, they begin to demand, if you don't give me like this, I will send you to this place, I will not send you to this place. WAEC custodians, they are complacent.
Time, that's too much time would allow us to take. But you've heard his own position and some of the things he thinks are contributing to the problem. The next question is, would you be joining those parents that want to sue WAEC? My name is Ifeemi Andrew. Enjoy your Friday with Jude for Hello Port Harcourt. Good morning.
Stay with us. Nigeria Info. We'll be back.